All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rashawn Giles. I am a administrative assistant for Beyond Barnard, our office for generally career and professional development here at Barnard College. But it also houses the operations for student employment and all things on hiring, onboarding, recruiting, paying students for their work on campus, and then with our federal work study partners off campus. We want to thank you all for your partnership and the many opportunities that you will inevitably open up for our students. Glad to have you on board. As a reminder, there are a few ways to get in contact with us or access support for all things related to student employment. You can go to Workday once your access has been granted as an employer in Workday. There's a help section with lots of help articles that we've developed over the past couple of years to assist you all however possible. You can also create a case in Workday, and that'll be directed to our queues so that we can follow up and resolve whatever issue you have at hand. You can also call us or email us at the number listed here or beyondbarnard@barnard.edu. So, some dates to keep in mind. Today is our information session for off-campus managers. Happy to have you all here. We'll also be having Zoom drop-in hours on Tuesday, August 27th at 2 p.m. and Thursday, September 5th at 1 p.m. And then you can sign up for a 15-minute appointment with me if you need some sort of walkthrough or individual attention for whatever problems you may be facing with this whole process. So our agenda is in a couple of different parts. Um, First, we'll sort of introduce Beyond Barnard to you all. Then we'll talk about the life cycle of campus roles and from recruiting to termination. We'll talk about generally federal work study partnership and what that entails and what you can expect for this academic year. We'll talk about what's new for this fall, including an upgraded minimum wage, safe and sick time for students, and then we'll have a Q&A. And then we'll transition into a workday refresher where we go over things that you may already know if you've been a partner with us in the past, working in Workday, um, or it may be new to you if you're a new partner. So, like I said earlier, my name is Rashawn Giles. I'm an admin assistant here at Beyond Barnard. I oversee all things employment for students here at Barnard, and I'm sort of the point of contact for um, managers and students alike with issues that you need help troubleshooting. So, happy to partner with you all in this way. So the campus role life cycle starts with recruitment. So you need to find the qualified candidates that are inevitably going to fill the roles that you create in Workday that support your organizations and the populations that you all serve. Then once they've been recruited, we'll get into hiring. Um, which is placing students in the roles that you've created. Then the students will need to complete onboarding. That's the I-9, the W-4, um, all those federally regulated documents that are necessary in order for students to then enter time and receive payment So time entry is next. All of our off-campus federal work study positions are hourly positions. And then on the back end of things, we process payments with our payroll department and then deliver payments to students. And then at the end of the year, academic years, we the last stage in the cycle is termination or ending the job. So as for the Federal Work Study Partnership for the 2024-25 academic year, it's important that you read the email that went out to our Federal Work Study partners to review, complete, sign, and return your agency agreement to Beyond Barnard. You'll submit your contacts, anyone that you would like to be a manager in Workday for your organization via the Google form that's linked in the email that went out. And then from there, you'll be able to post your positions. And we want those to be up as soon as possible, as new student orientation is August 28th, this coming week, through September 1st. It's really exciting, and we would love to have as many positions posted as possible. So as we review this, take good notes, take advantage of our support system and support schedule. And yeah, let's get these jobs posted. And also, if you haven't received an agency agreement, feel free to reach out to me or us generally at Beyond Barnard. We can get that sent to you. So accessing Workday. So how it works, Beyond Barnard will create a Workday account for the manager who will be supervising the students. That's recruiting, approving hours, things like that. That manager will receive an email generated by the Workday platform to create a password specific to their account. After that account is activated, the manager can then create and post job requisitions, review candidates, make offers, things like that. And then it's important to note that you'll be able to post after the agency agreement is signed and received by Beyond Barnard. That's when we know that we're able to approve, just so that we're on the same page about all of the things that the agency agreement outlines. And then as a reminder, hours must be approved every other Thursday according to the payroll schedule. That will be shared at the end of this presentation, and it's also available in Workday in the help article section. So to log in, you'll follow the link in the system-generated password email that you will have received to navigate to Workday. You'll click Other down at the bottom where it says, please use this option if you need to access Barnard's Workday environment as an off-campus supervisor of student workers. That's who you all are. And then you'll sign in with the username and password that you created from that system-generated email. So what's new for fall 2024? In order to better support our students, we are raising the minimum wage for off-campus federal work study partners to $18.75 per hour for all of our America Reads, our community-based 90-10 split partners, and our community-based 75-25 split partners. And then for our Columbia partners, those who are right across the street, that minimum wage is actually going to be $17 an hour, but $18.75 for everyone else. Safe and sick time is now in the absence app in Workday. So students accrue safe and sick time based on the amount of hours that they work, and over time that balance builds up, and they're able to use those hours in place of when they would actually work to to be sick or take care of whatever business that they need to. Students should be careful to select the correct position if they have multiple roles. These hours don't require supervisor approval, so they'll just submit them, and you'll be able to see them on their timesheet, but there won't be any action that you need to take um, to approve these. So we'll pause here for just a moment after all of the things that have been introduced as new for this academic year. And I'll open the floor up to questions. Are there any questions at this time?
I had a question about the rate of accrual and if there's no like retroaction on that. So like if we've had work studies that have been with us for quite some time, they haven't started to accrue that from past semesters. It'll start in the fall semester and going beyond.
Yeah. So they'll accrue it based if they're in a if they're continuing from uh, past academic year, that balance actually stays with them. So if they've accrued it before, they'll still have that time available to them. That's a great question.
And how much time do they actually accrue for? Like, how much time do they have to work in order to accrue time?
I'm not totally sure off the top of my head. Um, yeah, I'll
Okay.
need to look that up. But if you send me a reminder email to get that document to you about safe and sick time, I can send that out to you. So,
Thank you.
all righty. Any other questions? Great. So now we'll move into our Workday refresher that goes over some of the nuts and bolts of how to um, supervise within the Workday platform. And there will be some time for questions and resource review at the end. I'll also do a demo of how to create a job requisition, which is one of the most common things that you all will be doing as you recruit and hire your students. So let's get right into it. So minimum hourly wage and future increases. As I mentioned before, the hourly wage for this fall is $18.75 per hour. That'll go up to $19.75 per hour next fall, fall of 2025. Students will typically receive a minimum 50-cent raise for each year of experience in a particular role. So, for example, if a first year student is hired at a starting wage of $20 per hour and returns every year into that same role, they would earn at least $21.50 by the end by the fall of their senior year. So we want to support our students, honor their commitments to certain organizations, and give them raises where applicable. If you all have questions about this, feel free to, and what exactly to pay your individual students, feel free to reach out to us at beyondbarnard@barnard.edu, and we can give you guidance on how to approach wage increases. So we have, and then under compensation classes, we have 5 standardized tiers that sort of correlate to different wage levels, and I'll show you all what that looks like here. So as relevant experience is desired or required, special skills or introduce additional responsibilities or supervisory duties. As new things get introduced to positions, it makes sense to pay your students more. So consider this when determining your wages. This is also available in the help section in Workday if you need access to this going forward. So some common scenarios that you might run into as a federal work study partner with us. You may be needing to recruit students for an existing position that you already have. Maybe you're completely new to us or you have a new position that you need to create and recruit students for. Or maybe you need to rehire a student for a job that they held last academic year. These are all possible, and there are ways to do these things. So the workflow typically is that um, the job requisition is created and posted by the manager. Then after the job requisition is created and posted, students are able to apply in the career app in Workday. And then the hiring manager will review the candidates. Then you all are, I'm sure, very familiar with the interview process. So you can move candidates forward to interview once you have decided that they are um, a good candidate for consideration for the position. And then once you've decided on who you're going to hire, you're going to complete a verbal offer and get an acceptance from the student. And then after that, you're going to move them to ready for hire in the Workday system once the verbal offer has been extended and accepted. And then after that, onboarding needs to happen. So onboarding typically has to happen within 3 days of the hire. So within the first 3 days that they start working, they need to complete their I-9, their W-4. All of this happens within Workday. And that's what's going to ensure that they're able to enter their hours, be paid on time, and so on. So we ask that all roles for students be posted in Workday through a job requisition and a subsequent job posting, sort of that first step that I mentioned on the previous slide. The career app in Workday, which can be found in the menu, or by typing Find Jobs Student in the search bar, is how students can access these job postings. And then one thing to note is that once all of the positions on a job requisition are filled, Workday will automatically decline the remaining candidates and unpost the job requisition so that no more applications come in. I think one thing that I have found helpful is actually sticking to the process in the job requisition rather than going outside of the job requisition to complete hires. It sort of allows for a cleaner hire and the buttons are all bright orange and very, very clear to click. So be sure to stay within your job requisition as much as possible. So how do you know what positions you're going to be using? You can review your supervisory organization to determine who's already hired and needs to be extended, or what open positions you have. So from the search bar, you can type supervisory organization and then the manager's name. And the first option that comes up that says supervisory organization will be what you select. Then you will just review your student members to see who has an existing hire under you. And you can also review the staffing section of your supervisory organization to see what unfilled positions you have. And then from there, you can reuse any open positions on job requisitions that you're creating to recruit for those students, those new students that you're looking to hire. So the mechanics of actually creating a job requisition. So the task is going to be create job requisition. You'll type that into the search bar. You can also access that task from your recruiting dashboard. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen when you're in your recruiting dashboard. You have the option to copy details from previous job requisitions that already exist. So if you have used a job requisition in the past and want to copy those same details over, just update the minimum wage, things like that, you can definitely do so. And in the copy details from existing job requisition field, you'll be able to see all of your past job requisitions. And then you can create a job requisition for a few different radio options. So the first would be to create a new position if you don't already have positions that you would like to use. If you have a single existing position that you would like to hire for, you're just hiring one student, you can use the option for existing position. Or if you have multiple existing positions that you're looking to hire new students for, you can use the radio option for multiple existing positions. And again, there will be a demo on creating job requisitions at the end of this presentation, so stay tuned for that. Now, one thing to be especially attentive to would be the job profiles. So job profiles are categorizations of jobs that allow us to know how and from where to pay a student. For our off-campus federal work study partners, the job profiles correspond to the type of federal work study agreement that you've signed. So for our America Reads partners, you'll select the job profile America Reads 100/0. For our Columbia departments that are offering federal work study to Barnard students, you'll select the Columbia 75/25 split. For our community-based partners with a 75/25 split, you will select this third option, community-based 75/25. And then for our small community-based 90/10 splits, you'll select this final option, small community-based 90/10. In the job profile field, if you want, you can just search for the specific job profile that you're trying to select, or you can click by job family, then student employee, then off-campus federal work study to find the list as outlined here. So the updated end dates for the academic year 24-25 are as follows. For fall 24 term roles, so people not continuing into the spring, the end date is December 25th, 2024. For all academic year roles or spring 2025 term roles, excuse me, the end date will be May 14th, 2025. So be sure to use these end dates as they are standardized for this academic year. So what's the approval process look like? When you initiate a job requisition, it routes so we're looking at the second line here. So job requisitions also exists for our staff at Barnard College, and there are a few extra steps, but it's pretty simple for on the student side. So first, the hiring manager is going to create the job requisition. Then it'll route to Beyond Barnard itself as the HR partner for approval. And then it'll come back to the manager who initiated the job requisition to then post the job to the student job profile or job portal. And there will be instructions on that task on how to do that specifically so that students can see it. Be sure to be attentive to your Workday inbox, as sometimes I send things back to managers for revision or clarification. So be sure you're paying attention to the tasks in your inbox. So leveraging the offer step. In the verbal or email offer that you initially send out and communicate to the student, you're going to want to agree on employment terms like the wage and the first day of work, You'll want to confirm that the student has a social security number, and that that social security number is in Workday. Um, it would be it would be very helpful if you explained the onboarding process to new hires, to ensure that they have adequate time for approvals and paperwork. Um, Students should not work prior to their hire date. Retroactive hiring is not permitted. We run into a lot of issues compliance wise when students begin working without being hired in the system. So if you have a student that you want to start working as soon as the first day of classes starts, you will want to make sure that your agency agreement is completed as soon as possible, and then that the hire is submitted in Workday as soon as possible as well. Um, and then update the position as needed. Um, and then the last thing to remember on this slide is that a thorough offer, where you've gone through all of the components of um, or all of the terms of the employment that you're offering to the student, and also completed onboarding, where their onboarding is completed within 3 days of their hire. They're not starting work before their hire date. That's a clean hire, and we want to make sure that there are as many clean hires as possible. So, for notifications and communications, so there's an offer checklist. Um, Once the offer is completed, you'll move the student from interview to offer in the job requisition, and this will generate an offer letter for the student to review and acknowledge in the system. The student can't be hired until they acknowledge the offer. So it's important the student also goes in and accepts the offer after you have sent it to them. And then once the student has accepted it, Beyond Barnard will then process the hire and get them fully acclimated in the system. There are also some blanket notifications that you can that sometimes automatically go out, but you can send out purposefully on your own outside of the system. There's a thank you for applying template that just lets the student know that their application has been received. There's a template for declines with varying reasons available to select. And then, of course, as I had mentioned earlier, the offer letter with terms of employment. So, if you are looking, if you are looking to rehire specific students and they're not already in the system, like if they've been terminated from last year or whatever the case may be, you can use the report hire student. You just type hire student into the search bar to rehire those students. The positions you identified for rehire when you were reviewing your supervisory organization, remember typing supervisory organization and then manager's name to review the staffing section and the student members section. Those positions that you reviewed earlier will be found under positions without job requisitions. If you created a job requisition, you'll also see positions with job requisitions as a selection option. But the positions without job requisitions is totally acceptable to use for those rehires. You'll want to remember the job profile selections that I mentioned earlier, the compensation class policies as you're selecting compensation. And then you'll want to ensure that the job title and business title are precisely worded and specific to both the student's position and your organization or department at Columbia. So that would be student assistant and then your organization's name in parentheses, or research assistant, something like that, and then your department at Columbia in parentheses at the end. And then also make sure to include the end employment date down at the bottom of the hire student section. For fall hires, again, this is December 25th, 2024 is the end employment date. And then academic year hires or spring term hires, the end date will be May 14th, 2025. So this is something that I especially want to draw attention to as it's required for finance. This is going to ensure both that the student is paid properly from the right place and in a timely manner, and also that you are billed accordingly, according to the agency agreement that you have signed. So for our America Reads partners, the fund field on the default organization assignments is always going to be 21. For our 75-25 splits, whether Columbia Department or off-campus community-based organizations, and also our 90-10 split for community-based organizations is going to be 10. So that's the fund field. You'll also have another field called function. For our America Reads partners, that's going to be 08 is the number that you put into that field. And then for our other splits, it's going to be 05. And then the cost center, which is the last field on the default organization assignments, is going to be 5060 for our America Reads partners, and then 9800 9800 for our all of our other partners with a 75-25 split and a 90-10 split. You'll leave the program and grant fields blank on the default organization assignments. Nothing needs to go there. And then in the comment section, we want you to provide the full account details associated with your organization. So for our America Reads partners, this is the number. It includes the fund, function, and cost center numbers that I mentioned on the previous slide, and also the 180005 number, which is a program number that's specific to America Reads. And then for all of our other organizations with a 75-25 split and a 90-10 split, each organization is assigned a unique program number that can be provided upon request. Just email us at beyondbarnard@barnard.edu and we'll share that with you. That number needs to be included in the comment section of all hires and job requisitions. It's important that you reach out to us so we can provide that number to you, and so that you can be compliant with our finance department. This is going to ensure that you get the right invoice at the end of the year for your students' wages for that percentage of their wages that you are accountable for based on the agreement that you're signing. And then another thing for budgets and costing purposes that you need to pay attention to is the split costing questionnaire. So this questionnaire comes up anytime you submit a hire through Hire Student. And anytime you see this page, you don't even have to think about it. You just check yes and hit submit. The answer is always going to be yes for our Federal Work Study partners. Be sure to check yes on this questionnaire. So some reports that are going to be helpful is the Federal Work Study Balance Report. This will be on your Beyond Barnard Student Employment Dashboard. So if you're logged into Workday and you go to the menu in the top left-hand corner, there's a dashboard that says Beyond Barnard Student Employment. And then the reporting section of that dashboard are all of these reports, starting with the federal work study balance. So it's going to return the remaining balance for a student's federal work study award with the pay results. Uh, uh, Sorry, this doesn't make as much sense as it should. Um, it's going to return the remaining balance based on the pay results that have most recently been completed. So after each payday is processed, um, that award balance will be drawn down. And that's how you know how much a student has left to spend on federal work study. When a student runs out of federal work study funds, they're no longer able to be paid through Barnard student employment for their off-campus federal work study positions unless they receive an increase in their federal work study balance from financial aid. So it's important to pay attention to this report, especially as we get into the spring term, because this will determine how much a student is able to work for you. Um, so keep that in mind. All student workers report will return a list of students working in your supervisory organization. And this um, this will just show you exactly who's working for you. And then the onboarding status summary is going to tell you uh, who's needing onboarding tasks completed in order to be able to submit time and be paid, and what they're actually missing. So you can review that and then go over it with your students to make sure that they're onboarded properly within 3 days of their hire. So these are examples of some of our Help Center articles that have been updated for this year. Um, um, and there are many, many more. Again, the help articles are located in the help section. You can find that from the menu when you log into Workday. Just go to help and then select Beyond Barnard Student Employment, and you'll see all of the help articles that are available to you. This is an example of the onboarding checklist. So first up, we have the social security number and permanent home address, which need to be updated with the registrar by the student so that it feeds over into Workday. Students can't be paid and can't be sent a W-2 at the end of the year without this. So it's important that they get this done. As part of the Workday onboarding items, so there are tasks to complete withholding elections, that's the W-4, acknowledge different employee attachments that outline safe and sick time, paid family leave, things like that. And then, of course, there's the I-9, which authorizes students to work. It's sort of the final step in the Workday system for students, next to direct deposit. So if you're talking to your students and they're wondering how they can sign up for direct deposit, let them know that it's on the onboarding checklist and it'll be a task in their Workday inbox. And then the last thing I'll make mention of for you all is that the I-9 needs to be verified in person with um, uh, personal documents, either a passport or a combination of an ID with birth certificate, social security card. That list of documents can be provided at any time to a student if they're confused about what they need to bring into our office. That's the last stage of the process in order to be able to submit their hours. And this is an example of the payroll schedule. Every other Friday is when students are paid. Every other Wednesday is when students are required to submit their hours. And then every other Thursday is when the managers are required to approve the hours that students submit the day before. Um, this full schedule can be found in the help section in Workday, or if you have questions about it, something's not clear, feel free to reach out to us as well. So, with that, I just wanted to remind you all, again, the help section in Workday beyond Barnard Student Employment is going to be your best resource. A lot of streamlined articles to get you all the support that you need. If you need further support, feel free to create a case in Workday, call us at Beyond Barnard, email us at beyondbarnard@barnard.edu, and then um, we'll see how we can help you best. So with that said, does anybody have any questions? That was a lot of information. This presentation is being recorded and will be distributed widely with all of our federal work study partners. But we'll open the floor for questions now.
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
So my first question is on the agency information sheet. I see that at the bottom there is a like the agreement shall take effect on. I'm assuming I initially put today's date, but then the point right after is saying it's not effective until the 3rd of September. Should September 3rd be the date on that section?
Yes, I would put September 3rd in the effective date
Okay.
field.
And then as for kind of few of these relate to the same issue of rehiring, reopen. Are we able to reopen a closed requisition or do we have to create a new one?
You would have to create a new one. If one is already closed, there's no way to open
Reopen.
it back
Mhm.
up. But you can copy details from that existing job requisition that you've had before,
Yeah.
so that you're not creating more work for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, and then that kind of connects with the rehiring. So in order to rehire, we would have to recreate or create a position and then rehire our former students on that requisition, or we could just pull them, I guess, quote unquote, out of the line to hire them ahead of opening the position or the requisition for other students.
Yeah, I would actually go in and rehire all of your students before you determine what open positions you have for new incoming students. You can use the task hire student. You just type hire student into the search bar, and you can go through that that way. Does that make sense?
Yes. And then the last question is regarding adding another supervisor. So I'm a supervisor and our director is a supervisor, but in case like we're both out at the same time, if it's possible to add a third person who hasn't been on Workday, um, as in like a backup or somebody we could delegate to approve timesheets if that's ever the case.
Yeah, for sure. That'll definitely be possible this academic year. Just have someone from your organization complete the Google form with that new person's contact information, and then we'll review and add them to Workday as necessary. And then you'll be able to delegate things to them whenever you're out.
Perfect. And I'm so sorry. Last question. For the onboarding checklist for the work studies, more specifically for the returning students, if they already submitted their I-9 stuff and like, could we, if they're already set up in Workday, I guess, can we just rehire them or do they have to redo the stuff on the checklist?
So if a student has already completed onboarding for a position on campus before the one that you're hiring or rehiring them for, they won't have to complete onboarding again.
Awesome.
So it's just a one-time thing.
Perfect. Okay. And that's it for me. Thank you so, so much.
No problem. Good to see you, Mona.
It's great seeing you too.
All right. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, like I said before, my name is Rashawn Giles. I'm happy to see you all here today. If you have any further questions, reach out to me at rjiles@barnard.edu, along with Beyond Barnard at barnard.edu, and we'll get you going. Hope you all have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.